Alright everyone, we're here today. We're looking at oil, steel, and inventions. Now, most of these we're looking at for the late 1800s. As you can see, inventions are going to change the way America and really the whole world works. These horses that are carrying people are going to be replaced by trains, which, well, trains always win. How are those trains and other things powered? Well, we need oil. Oil becomes extremely important. At times before the oil rush, you could find pools of oil. You could just walk around. Certainly not common, but there were pools. Oil would bubble up to the ground, and one could find a pool of oil on the ground. Now, of course, that wasn't tapping into the vast reserves of oil that lie underneath the earth. So a process had to be developed to figure out how to extract that oil. Now, that process, well, we needed drills. So Edwin Drake is the man who came up with the first idea of an oil well in Pennsylvania, and he was successful at breaking through the earth, drilling, and extracting the oil that lay below. That oil they extracted, it was refined to kerosene. Kerosene was used to light homes in kerosene lamps. And another byproduct of producing kerosene was gasoline. Now, gasoline wasn't commonly used, but once automobiles started to come around, then that's when gasoline also began to be refined from the oil that was drilled. Now, what does oil look like? That's a good question. This here is a clip from the movie There Will Be Blood. Great film if you have any desire to watch it. But watch to see what happens when a oil drill strikes.
Lights out! Wait here. Lights out! What are you looking so miserable about? There's a whole ocean of oil under our feet. No one can get at it except for me.
Alright, so a few things from that clip. You have, initially, there was that gas that was escaping. It's natural gas. Now we harness natural gas. We use it for many things. But at the time, they were just after the oil. Once what you saw was a gusher. Once they would stop up the gusher, they would put pipes down into the ground, and then the oil would come out at a much more regulated pace. But at the time, they didn't really know. They had some ideas of where the oil was, but they were just drilling in their best guess. So, we have oil. We also have, we have coal. Coal was used to power a number of things, including trains. You have coal to heat your houses. You might have a coal furnace. Coal is extremely useful. Coal comes from the ground, so this here is a coal mine. Coal mines were extremely dangerous places to work. Not only do you have the danger of collapse, but also coal dust is extremely dangerous to breathe in. It causes what's known as black lung, which is a lung disease if you breathe in the coal dust. So there are many coal workers at the time. It was certainly a good job, but the health risks were enormous. They did not start realizing that till much later. So you even have children who are working in the coal mines. This was a greaser who would be working with the machines down there, who was there were a lot of young people that worked down there. With coal, coal was often used to power factories, and many factories started producing iron. Now, iron was good for building things. It's a strong material, but it's pretty brittle. It does break extremely easily. So they had to figure out a way to make iron stronger. And how to make iron stronger? Well, you make steel. There's something known as the Bessemer Process. Bessemer. The Bessemer Process. Now, the Bessemer Process, they realized that if they injected oxygen into the oil when it was in a molten state, it would create steel. And steel is extremely strong and extremely durable. And you can use steel for many, many things. American steel industries created a great deal of wealth. We'll talk about that later with some steel barons. And it was a major export for the company, or for the country. So with steel, you can build things like bridges. You have things like this. It's a railroad bridge. Steel is also used to make the rails themselves. Steel will be used in the trains that are riding on the railroad bridges. With steel, you can also build skyscrapers. Since steel is so strong, you can build much higher than humans ever could before. So while iron, certainly you could build some tall buildings, there was a point at which it could not hold itself up. Whereas steel, you can go hundreds to thousands of feet in the air. This is an image from the early 1900s, and it's called Men at Lunch, famous image. Men sitting on a steel beam high above New York City. Some other inventions at the same time. We have this man. His name is Thomas Alva Edison. He's sitting in this image with the phonograph. It was the first device that could record sound. Edison was a great inventor. He worked in Menlo Park in New Jersey. And he also perfected the system of the incandescent light bulb. He had a lot of people working for him, which some people say Edison didn't really invent anything. One of the men that worked for him was actually Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant immigrant, and he devised a number of things, including alternating current, which is how we get our electricity today. Tesla also came up with what's known as the Tesla Coil. If you've ever been to the Boston Museum of Science, there's the lightning show, and Tesla Coil figured out how to create these big sparks of static electricity. He became greatly forgotten. Edison became the inventor of the era, but Tesla, here's a cool picture of him with Mark Twain. Mark Twain's in Tesla's laboratory. Tesla's in the background as Twain is experimenting with some of the electricity. The car Tesla now is named after Nikola Tesla. We also have this man. His name is Alexander Graham Bell. Came up with the telephone. The telephone didn't look much like ours do today. Pretty bulky device, but it was the first way humans could communicate through voice across long distances. So it very much revolutionizes communication and the world that was around. We also have things at the time like the typewriter, which was being invented. And all of these are creating jobs. You have women who are now working in offices working on the typewriter. You have women that are working as call switch operators. So all of these new inventions, not only are they making life easier, but they are creating a number of jobs.